What's up, fellow YouTubers? It's Anthony coming to you from Oakland, California. Last night, I just passed out, dude. I'm surprised I even woke up as far as, was able to. Non-stop all day. It's like noon right now. I woke up pretty early, like 6:30 or whatever. I had to sleep there because my car, I left it on and it didn't start when I woke up to leave. So I was stuck there. Forgot to mention that. Which is kind of eerie, like 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, and couldn't leave, car was dead, so I had to wait till someone was moving, and then I just jammed him up and asked him if he would jump start my whip. So got it going, and got some coffee, just there, all morning, just nonstop. These newer cars, like this guy right here, they always come in 2s and 3s. Okay, so that, and it'll just, I believe that all those 3 cars were together. They're running out of, I don't know what they're doing. Maybe some Oakland people are participating, but not that I care. But they usually look like these 2 cats right here, and then this Porsche coming. It's not like I'm not paranoid. Okay, I guarantee that I'm probably, if anything, thinking that too many people are, but I'm catching about 90% of them when I think, when I actually take the time to look and see what's going on. Anyways, I thought it'd be good to do a live. Not that I get anyone to want to listen to me live, but it just beats me having to edit it or feel like I have to. You know what I mean? All right, check this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell my story. All right, and I can promise you this: is nothing's going to be embellished. All right, it's all going to be straight from the top, how I remember it, and it's going to be unadulterated and it's going to be unedited. And I hope that people can learn from some of the mistakes I've made, and people can learn about through some of the things I've done. If they're wondering what the potential is. I will tell you this much: they will follow you wherever you go. Okay, this will land wherever you decide to put yourself. Well, I can't say that. They managed to follow me everywhere I've been, and I haven't been that many places, but I have gone deep in the woods on many an occasion, and only to be greeted by drones up in the sky and voices in the trees and sounds like people were walking or whatever. And not to say they weren't there, I just didn't see them up until the last time I went camping, which then I did see a person, and then which led to about 25 more of the people that I ran from. But that's a whole different story. We'll get there. It's not part of this same thing, but this is not how it started. This is 2 Julys ago, a little over a year ago. That's what I was referencing when I mentioned that they will, at least I did actually see people. It was concerning. When I seen him, he had a mask on, and he was just across this creek, and I was shooting my gun because I thought I heard something, and I told him, because the night before I was like, hey, in the drones in the sky, don't be bringing people to this claim right here, because if you don't announce yourself, I'm telling you right now that I have rights to be at this claim and you don't, so I'm going to defend myself, and I told him, I said, hey man, if anyone's across the river, give a holler so I know you're there, because I'm hearing things and I don't like it. And I'm feeling like maybe there's going to be, I might be victimized, so I'm going to do what I got to do to make sure that no one's there by shooting a couple rounds into the bushes that I hear it coming from. So, if you don't think I'll hit you, that's fine. But keep making sounds, and I guarantee that I will eventually hit you. And when I sprayed over there, because I had a BB gun that was like CO2, and it was a semi-automatic or whatever, and I just unloaded it, and this dude popped up with the mask on. Oh, it was off. We'll get there, okay? And that was insane. But how it started for me was, and I felt like I was just writing a letter to Vice, the independent media channel, because we've been corresponding just a little bit, like a couple times, and kind of left it in the air. But they weren't interested at the time that I initially wrote them in regards to being a target. But then they had written me back since and saying that they want to revisit that information maybe, and I just haven't got around to writing them. So I'm writing them amongst a bunch of other letters that I just can't. These people are in my head all the time, so it's really hard to. And plus, I'm just, I don't know. I want to make sure it reads right, and who knows who's going to read it. I'm not the best, I write pretty well, but I'm good at punctuation and run-on sentences and shit like that, But, so that's what I'm doing. on most of the letters, but none of them are done, you know, because I want to send them all out at the same time. And during times I've been writing one, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to write that person too. Or I'm going to write the governor. Or I'm going to write, you know, and so like I got like 9 letters that are just like up in the air right now. But I want them all dropped in the same day, at least the same week, and I'm going to be certified, at least, you know, to the people that I want them certified to, like to the governor, and to the mayor, and like, you know, and this way they have to have a signature, and well, you know, this basically some news media, as well as you know, other people that I feel like, you know, attorney, ACLU, and a couple other firms. Okay, well, in a nutshell, we moved into this house, okay, and it was under duress that this family moved. I moved in with this family who I was helping at the other house that they owned, and they owned a really nice house which this lady inherited from her dad passing away. But long and short, he built like this bunker underneath the house. It was underneath the backyard, but stretched underneath the house. And he worked at the concrete company or whatever. And he did it all good, and he all, you know, to code, and spec, and everything. But I guess the neighbors caught wind of it or whatever, and the city wanted to do a walkthrough of the house. And my boss, who's a contractor, he kind of knows that it's a small town. It's not that small, but it's small enough to have a small planning department. And he was talking about to Jacob, because we actually, ironically, we're doing a house across the street. And Jacob Rodriguez is the planning department guy on in field and stuff. He's the man there, whatever. And so basically, what had happened was he had asked Jacob if he would be able to get, you know, he's going to probably get that job. And Jacob said, we're not giving anybody that requests a permit for that job to be given a permit to. He's like, nah. Some of us said, what, really? He's like, yeah. So they had plans for that house already. They kind of muscled her out. Come to find out that Jacob Rodriguez bought that house, okay? Why I say his name and why? Because I think he's somewhere affiliated into this whole thing, okay? I think that Irene Salas was positioned there at that house that we live in for many reasons, mainly because of what's going on underneath the house. But I think that she was positioned there, and I think this place was developed in lieu of her moving in, if it wasn't already developed, with, let's say, an access to underground. There's okay. None of the houses are built on with any kind of underground basement or any kind of gang stalker. So they're all built on foundation, just slab of cement. Okay, all the conduits run from the sidewalk into the house and up. So if you were to dig underneath the whole neighborhood, you probably wouldn't run into anything. Okay. So, in a nutshell, her father built, and the city found out, red tagged it, and she couldn't live there, and she was homeless like that. And she sold the house under duress, and he bought it, and she was able to, you know, salvage. It was a $1.2 million house, is what it was estimated, but under duress, she only got $550 for it, and so she lost like $800,000 or whatever. And she bought a house which she could afford in Salinas, and you know, I never even visited Salinas, even though it's just right here, you know. So I've been living there for a little while now, and since I've been living there, right off the beginning, I started hearing voices. It sounded like they're coming from underneath the house. We don't have a basement, and it sits on a slab of concrete, just like all the other houses around us. Well, coming from my background of having that recent experience, far be it to me to think that her father would be the only Mexican to dig a hole or a tunnel or, you know, extend their dwelling, you know, in a way like that. So, you know, it wasn't beyond my belief to think that, you know. And so I heard 3 or 4 months went by, and I mentioned it to Irene, and, you know, she said she heard some voices or music coming from her vent up in the ceiling, and I said, that's weird. So, you know, I just ignored it for the most part. But this one particular night, I was going to sit down and I was going to smoke a joint or whatever, and I heard, he's about to get high. In a woman's voice, I said, damn right I'm about to get high. Who's that, you know? And how do you know what's going on? Matter of fact, I don't care who you are, because obviously you don't want me to know, so just check this out. Someone's going to come to my house by 2 o'clock tomorrow and shake my hand and say, you know, whatever they want to introduce themselves or whatever. And I'll know at that point you guys are going to do something about the sound, okay? Because I don't want to hear nobody's voice when I come into my room. Or I'm going to figure this shit out, you know what I mean? And that's what's up. So around 2 o'clock the next day, a big old 180 went off in front of the house. So I was like, what the hell? And I seen this dude walking in to his house from across, you know, from in the middle of the street. And he went into the house directly across the street from ours. And I was like, what the? And so then, you know, basically a couple days went by, and you know, I'm asking around. You know, we had only met a couple people that Adrian did, and this one cat named what was his name? long of the short, he went by a little street name, but we had asked him what was up, and he said that I don't have nothing to worry about. He's like, this is a neighborhood full of family people. He's like, they work for the county, or they're prison guards, or they work for the mafia. He's like, don't trip. He's like, you said that she bought the house, right? Not paying mortgage. I said, yeah. She's here for good, and they know that. They're gonna fuck with her. I'm like, well, that's good to know. And then so I said, but can you ask the neighbors if they dug a hole or extended their house downwards and maybe encroached upon our property a little bit, and then underneath, anyways? And he's like, you want me to ask? And he said, yeah, sure, if he bumps into them or whatever. I'm like, no, would you go over there? And I wanted him to go over that evening, But he's like, maybe it's the chupacabras, and blew me off. Like, it was like, oh, that fucking, it's nothing, dude. You sure it ain't the chupacabras? I'm like, fuck you, dude. Anyways, so I wasn't able to get him to do that, but what he did say, he mentioned that it could have been the mafia. So then that's what I was concerned. Like, oh shit, you know what I mean? What the fuck did I get myself into, cussing these people out and shit, telling them I'm gonna fucking come and figure them out and shit, right? And so I was taking a bath a few days later, and this is like on the fourth evening of the initial me acknowledging in them what they're hearing, what I'm hearing to the voices that are saying things about what I'm about to do, right? And I'm in bath. It's late in the evening. It's like really like 1 o'clock in the morning or something. And I soak in the bath with Epsom salt sometimes. You know what I mean? I got binaural beats going, and I'm just like on another level. And so I'm chilling, and I start hearing dialogue, like people are conversing, underneath me. I'm like, what the fuck? And it sounds like they're in the kitchen, because this is the way it echoes. Not so much like a bathroom, but like a kitchen kind of. And I thought I heard some running water, some dishes, right? And I said, really, guys? Well, I'm fucking 1 o'clock. I'm in the bathtub, right? Really? And then that's when I remembered, oh shit, these guys could be mafia, right? So then I'm like, oh fuck. So I backpedaled. I was like, hey, all right. Excuse me. I said, for what it's worth, if you guys are mafia or organized crime or something, and I'm talking inside my bath while I'm in my bath, I'm laid back just talking, you know what I mean? And I'm like, for what it's worth, if you guys are mafia or something, then my apologies to you, okay? Because I'm not looking to die. I thought maybe you guys were just my neighbors that dug underneath their house and extended their property underneath mine, and I just, wanted some answers. Is it to that the case? And I heard, okay, so I'm kind of like, so I kind of, and that's what I said. And I took a break, and I went underwater. And this is when I heard, because when I went underwater, I could hear it better. I heard, you're lucky, punk. Wait till we catch you on the block. But it was more like this: you're lucky, punk. Wait till we catch you on the block. And I was like, what the fuck? I don't feel so lucky. I got up and I'm like, I don't feel so lucky. I really don't feel lucky at all, one bit right now. And when I got out of the bathtub, I kind of pretty much immediately got out of the bathtub, right? And when I got out of the bathtub, I was drying off, and I felt this tapping, like on the floor. And we have tile floor, but I felt tapping like if something was underneath the tile, tapping it, finding me, and it was getting closer and closer. And then when it went under my feet, and then I would hear, sometimes I would hear, right here, and then it would just stop right there and just continue tap, okay? And I would feel like this wave, this I gotta understand, this wave of energy or whatever. And then I moved around, and it's 1:30, 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning or whatever. And I moved around like in maybe 20 to 25 spots around the front of the house, because it goes from the bathroom hallway to the left. At the time was my room, but I just went everywhere to the right. I went in the kitchen, I went in the dining area, which is just one big opening, the kitchen, and it goes the dining and then the kitchen, but that's how it's set up. So the kitchen's farther down the room when you turn the corner. And so I kind of stopped, and I would peek. I would lightly step to different spots. Sometimes I'd step 5 steps over. Sometimes I'd just step 2 steps over. Sometimes I'd step backwards. Okay, but I went to like over 20 spots. Sometimes I take 8 steps into the living room, or and wherever I went, within seconds, it would find me. It would and everywhere, like up to in the dining area and around the corner to the hallway, I would hear a man's voice, right here. And so, not that it makes a point, but that's just something I remember. And so that's, ever since that initial moment in time, I've never not felt like I was getting bombarded with some energy weapons, to some degree at that house. I've become hypersensitive to it now. There are telltales to know that what you're feeling without getting your app out, or without getting your technology and your device out to verify, because that's always, just a situation to do it itself. Sometimes if you just sit still, and they'll say hypothetically in one of those circumstances where you don't feel like it, but you just have to be like around maybe some wires that your phone may be plugged into, one of them, or maybe something that you can see a wire maybe of 2 feet or whatever, at least 2 feet length, and hopefully it's not stretched out. Okay, hopefully there's some play in it. Okay, so what you're going to see, what I found out to be, is or a pile of clothes. Okay, and what those two things offer for me is when the microwave travels through it, it because it's a waveform, it'll disrupt the fabric. If it's just a pile of loosely thrown clothes on a pile, that you took them out the dryer and just threw them on the couch or something, or on your bed, or just wires that have like a lot of play to move around. You know, they're not all stretched out. You hardly see it then. But let's say you have like something plugged in and it has some lead to the plug still left on the wire. Well, you'd see that wire move ever so slightly. Okay, if you watched it, you'd see it just move ever so slightly. You'd have to stare at it, and you would then see it. And once you start seeing it, you'll notice, like, wow, that's moving there and there and there. I like to look at the bends and stuff like that, you know, like where the wire bends, because then it'll show you. And then the close is when the radiated wave travels through. I know I look like shit. I'm tired, but that's life. You know what I mean? It's a sleep deprivation program. What do you want from me? But you'll see the anomaly that energy that the wave will do to the laundry. It almost looks like something's in your laundry pile moving. Okay, it really does. It's a trip. So those are two things that I found to be helpful when I'm like, am I getting hit right now? And I'll just like look over and I'll like see the wires just move ever so slightly, or you know, or something that has like metal in it, like that's you know, I don't know. But anyways, that's just in a nutshell what I've. And then, you know, to further validate that, then I'll do a scan or whatever. If I'm feeling to the point where like, well, these guys are doing something besides the low frequency, you know what I mean? Because ultimately they can get what they want done, which is overall death. I mean, eventually, with the low frequency pulse, because you know that's what affects the parts of the body that they want to affect over redundancy in time and with coupled with the sleep deprivation. We'll explain all that later, but it has something to do with the melatonin that your body doesn't get to make. Therefore, the melatonin is essential for like the reproduction of your human cells, you know, your DNA or whatever. Without melatonin, your body won't be able to do that. It's essential. Right? So if it can't repair your DNA over time, your body won't remember what it was like to have good DNA on some levels. To like, let's say if they're hitting your pancreas or liver or your balls, or you know, or your pancreas, or you know, your intestines or whatever. Then these things would start having a deficiency and like an abnormality and then they would develop retardedly. And that's actually what cancer is. It is a retarded or mutated form of DNA. And if your body can't remember how to make it the good DNA that your body makes, that because it doesn't have the memory, or it's been deficient of melatonin, so it has been making and it hasn't been able to repair itself. Ultimately, that's what it is. It hasn't been able to repair itself, and it starts making mutated DNA, which is cancer. And then you know you're off the board in a matter of who knows. And it's gonna look like it's gonna look like you developed cancer, and that's the point. This is a depopulation program. Okay, mass extinction. This is global genocide going on right now, and most of the population, I'd say about 90% of people on Earth, don't even know it's going on. They don't even know about the technology, and that's what's so scary. That this program that has adopted me into it without my consent has been developed 60 years plus in the making, okay? By the smartest people in the world to make a program that would allow them to depopulate large portions of the United States and abroad, and with no accountability whatsoever. Okay, this is, I believe, done by the shadow government, the Five Eyes. You know, the CIA and the FBI, they don't even they're contracted out to us, to the American people. Okay, they're an independent situation. Okay, we have no control. They belong to the shadow government. Okay, and the shadow government is the cabal, or are the global elite, are the 13 richest families that have ever that live and that have managed to stay the 13 richest families since the beginning of recorded history. Okay, there are the O negative. They are the Rho negative blood type. The blue blood is otherwise known as these people that they believe that they're superior beings than us, and they believe that we're just useless eaters, monkey people they call us, because we have the Rh gene in 97% of people on Earth. They got this 97. They got this. We have this Rh in our DNA blood type, and that's for the rhesus monkey gene, and that's where they can link us back to an animal on this planet that our DNA derives from. Okay, and if you know anything about, which I don't, and I very little, and I didn't at all until I had to learn this, and about these people that are the global elite. Queen Elizabeth and her whole family, they got the blue blood. That's why they're big on you're just really not. It's not really looked upon if you marry outside these 13 families. Okay, they keep their blood pure. Okay, and if people don't know who the Anunnakis are, it's okay. We'll get there. But today, I'm just trying to tell you my story and how it started for me. So I drilled holes. I'm all over the fucking place, huh? Okay, so listen. I drilled holes. The first hole had concrete in it. After I got the evidence, I went to Santa Cruz. My phone was stolen like minutes after I got there. 2 people came into my car. I don't know if my phone was in my door pocket here or my friend was supposed to bring him somewhere. He jumped in. And he got all weird because we had to go. My boy, I needed to say something real quick. And he bounced out. He's all just skate. And he took off. And then I don't know, this cat was talking to, I said, okay, dude, and I don't know if these cats, so no one's even allowed really to walk up to my car just because the way things are out in this world right now. If I'm in my car, just stay the fuck away from me. And when I get out, we can talk about whatever you want to talk to counsel about. The thing is I got that day and I could never find my phone, so my evidence is gone. I went back to the house. There was concrete in the bottom part of this hole. I know I jumped off the whole blue blood thing because back to the subject, how it started and how I know that all this is real and I'm really going through it. First of all, I never had any psychological problems. I am psycho at times. I could get psycho just like any other person if you piss them off or if they're passionate enough about something. But I haven't gone like psycho unconsciously, like I would black out drunk and I'd wake up and hear all these stories. I haven't done that in over 20 years, So I'm a pretty level-headed person and I process things now a lot better than I used to, and I'm not like so spontaneous with my actions, unless you have to be because the situation's showing itself to be available. Anyways, thing is so I drilled another hole, and I was using a carbine bit, 18-inch, 5/8 18-inch drill bit, and where the first hole went down, and it felt like I had like another 2-inch play when it popped. So this one didn't. I felt maybe towards the end, maybe the last half inch, maybe something popped, but not like the first hole, So I went to go send my scope down there, and it wouldn't go down. So I went to Home Depot and bought 3 more drill bits. Come home and out for whatever reason, I bought a piece of 3-inch rebar, and I just a meter of it, like 3 feet, and brought that home with me. And so before I got started, for whatever shits and reason, I just the drill bits didn't fit my drill, right? I was pissed, dude. I was real pissed. And so what I did do is I went in the garage and I sharpened up that rebar to make a nice little point on it, right? On my grinder, and it did take about 5 minutes, 3 minutes, or whatever. And I went back in the room and I hit that rebar down into that hole that I had drilled 18 inches into the concrete, and it went down a good 10 inches, which is a slight little tap, right? I mean, because it's 5/8 hole, and it's 3-inch rebar, but it got that, it's rebarbed, and hit it again. It went down another, 6 inches. I couldn't pull it back out. It was in there. So I had to hit it flush to the concrete. You know what I mean? So I hit it flush. So now, if there is access to underneath my room and people are going there, they're gonna walk into the room and they're gonna have a piece of metal sticking out from the top of the ceiling. Okay. The next morning, I went to Harbor Freight and I spent like $350 on this hammer drill, and I'm back to the house. You gotta understand that up to this point, I emailed the police department I emailed the police department letting them know I was gonna be drilling a hole in my concrete, and because I heard sounds and I would keep them posted, and I wanted at least there to be know that I was doing that in case something was to happen to me in the process or shortly thereafter. Come to find out, I do believe a good portion of that police department was in on it. Since then, I do believe that location in Salinas has moved to a newer facility. I'm not sure. I think I caught something like that on the internet, but I didn't know that at the time. So, and I also left a message. I asked to talk to the chief, and what I got was the night watchman or whatever. So I got his message, and I got a phone call the next day, and I'm already coming back home from Harbor Freight, from the night watch, the officer that's in charge at night, night watchman or whatever, and he's like, "What's going on?" I said, "Did you get my email?" He's like, "Yeah, but I just thought I'd call you." I'm like, "You haven't had a chance to read it?" He said, "No." I'm like, "Well, you should read it when we get off the phone." But I lost the evidence, dude. I had evidence. He's like, "You have evidence in regards to some underground access or something?" I said, "Dude, yeah, I did. Did you get my messages?" I was like, "I lost that. Someone stole my phone. I'm about to get more though." And he's like, "Okay, well, what do you want us to do?" I said, "Well, I don't know. What can you do?" He's like, "What do you want us to do?" I said, "I don't know. Dude, I've never been in this situation. This is all new to me, man." But yeah. He's like, "Okay, well, when you get that, so you say you lost the evidence?" I said, "Yeah, I didn't lose it. Someone stole my phone. It was malicious. However, yes, I don't have it anymore. I'm about to send a camera back down the hole to get some more information." He's like, "Okay, well, give us a call back when you got that." I said, "Okay, we'll do. Shoot me your number." And he said, "Just call 911. I said, "Okay, we'll do." So I get in on this hole, I get the camera set up or whatever, and I'm getting ready to get in on these motherfuckers, you know what I mean? And I'm just talking shit like a motherfucker, like a truck stop, you know what I mean? Talking shit whenever I hear them, "Hey, what's up, bitch?" You know what I mean? When I take a shit and take a fart, I'm like, "I just fucking gave you a kiss, motherfucker," you know what I mean? So they're all pissed if there is anybody, and there's a slight possibility, and a very slight possibility that there was nobody in my head, but that still was so slight. It was like, I know what I've been hearing for like 6 months now, and that's why I think I said something, in my heart. Like, I already knew, I've heard them enough, because they start talking about things I'm doing and stuff. It's weird. And I wouldn't hear whole sentences, but just certain words, and it was muffled. It was definitely dialogue between a man and a woman, at times 2 men. And so, I go drill this other hole, and I get through it pretty quick, but it's like 4:30 or 5 o'clock right now. It's like when I started, it got to me 6 o'clock. I started, I got it done. And when I pierced through that hole, and I can only explain this, something grabbed a hold of my drill. And it wasn't spinning, it was in the hammer setting. And when you have a bigger drill and it's in the hammer setting, it kind of vibrates until you push pressure on it, and it pops. It'll pop it, And so I wasn't, it was a new drill, mind you. I just purchased it like a few hours before that. So I'm not really, I just was in the moment, and I totally forgot about the switch that would then allow it to spin. But I just, at the moment in time, I just completely forgot about that. So my ignorance, I paid for that a little bit, because I could have just spun that, whatever was holding it, off, at least out of their hands. Looking back now, I think that maybe it was a good possibility that it was a big vice grip of some sort, because that would be the only thing that would make sense on how someone would be able to hold it, not their bare hands. Even though you probably could, because I did try it at the house with gloves on, and when it vibrates like that, you could hold it, but they had a pretty good grip on it, And so when I popped through that hole, my third hole that I was drilling into this concrete, now it goes one hole on the right side of my bed towards the shoulder if you're laying on my bed, and between my bed but closer to the closet, maybe about 1 inch from the closet and 2 inches from my bed, and then another one right in front of my bed but at the feet, okay, if you're laying on the bed, a little offset from the middle of the bed to the left. So I was trying to look down this hallway. I saw an opening, and I decided to do it on the left side of my bed, it would still give me, it would still allow me to hit the opening, so I could see if I have the scope, you know, with a little bit of a pitch on it, it would be able to do, because the little mechanism it gave us was an attachment. It was just a mirror, but it just didn't work out to me after pushing it through like 18 inches. You know, it got snagged up and pushed against it, and it didn't work out as well as it should have. But so I'm screaming for Adrian now. He's just across the hall. I'm like, Adrian, I'm gonna get in here, dude. Help me pull this drill out, dude. I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going on, dude, because I already popped the hole, dude. It's cleared, dude. I don't know what's making it. Something's pulling this drill down, and I do believe they're familiar with hammer drills. And the bigger ones, you have to pull the collar back, and then it allows the bit to come out. And I think that they were trying to get my bit by pulling the drill, the hammer drill down to the ground. Therefore, if it hit the ground, the collar would be pushed back, and then the drill bit would get released. Is what I think they were trying to do. And there was times where I could tell that they were pulling it towards them, because it would yank away from me. So, like, you know, they would lever not much, but just that little bit that, you know, I don't know what was going on. It was insane. Okay. So then every time, so Adrian took off after we got the drill bit out. He ran out the room. I'm like, that's all you got? You fucking guy, right? And so, you know, I continue to then attempt to put my camera down there, my scope, and there would be something in the way. And this went like 4 or 5 times, dude. I like pulled my scope, and then finally, I think 4th, 5th time, I looked at the screen. I believe it was 5th. And I seen like rocks that almost looked like you could see the shape of them, you know, and they almost like they were like someone was pushing rocks up that hole the instant my drill bit came out. Okay. And so then I set my drill back down there, and it would be clear, all the way to just like the last little nudge, click, and it popped through again. And then I get my camera, and you know, it's a big hammer drill, so I have to get it out, I have to set it down. Okay, make sure it's all, get it out, set it down real quick, grab my scope, send it down there, okay, and it's just a wire, okay, with a camera at the end of it. So, you know, you have to kind of straighten it out, and it kind of got some bend to it a little bit, some, you know, some kind of, you know, kind of tension, or what it's wrapped with, it has some kind of moldable, bendable kind of outer exterior, and then send that down there, and every time I would hit something, you know, and I didn't bother looking the first 3 or 4 times. Oh, what the hell? Get my drill back, and then set my camera and hit something. And so, you know, I kind of pretty much gave up at that point, and now it's like late, it's like 10 o'clock or something, and I was like, I should just chill, and, you know, we're talking like around 9 o'clock is like when I started, maybe it was like even 8:30 when I started. I would stop it because I was already tired, you know, it's working all night the day before. This has been going on, right? And so, you know, I've been cussing them out, you know, you motherfuckers, you know, and I while I was drilling that hole, and after they started trying to pull on it or whatever, I think somewhere around the 3rd or 4th time, I heard them or something, because it didn't seem like they had that much tension on when I pulled it up the last time to put the camera down there. And sure, I didn't get what I wanted to get, because you understand this camera looks straight down. Okay, it looks straight down, but what you can see is the minute it gets past the foundation, when it gets past the hole that I drilled, you can see it open up. Okay, you can see it open up. You can see it open up until you keep going down, and I have a 40-foot tether on there, so when you're pulling up 20 feet, or you know, or you're pulling up like 15 feet, you know that, you know, it's going down 18 inches, and then it's going down even further to touch the ground. Okay, so there's an opening in there of like 10 feet or something. I don't even know. Let's just say I pulled up at least 10 feet, and it seemed like 15. I never measured or anything, but it seemed like a lot. Okay, and I did go like this. Okay, this is where it was, and it did hit my ceiling into my room, so that's 10 feet. So that's like a whole other standing area underneath my bedroom. Okay, and I asked Irene if we could call the cops, you know, said we could call the cops, and she's like, no, she was concerned she would have to be rolled up at her own house again, and I could appreciate that, you know, but what I did do is I did call the police, well, not then,